Hey guys, today our topic is UiPath Json Deserialize. What is Json? What is Deserialize? Everything we are going to understand with a lot of examples. Let's get started. What do you do? Let's open your browser and go to a website which is known as randomuser.me. The website is randomuser.me. Now using this website, we are going to understand what this JSON is all about. Okay, so all of you must be knowing the JSON stands for what? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, right? Now what is this JavaScript Object Notation? I don't understand. So let me help you. So let's say here I have opened a website on my browser and my laptop is connected to internet. The moment I am typing this URL, this is going and sending a HTTP request, hypertext transfer protocol request. The HTTP request from my browser goes and hits the random user server, wherever that server is. It goes to that server and fetches the data and it is appearing. If I refresh the data, for example, I'm refreshing. So what is happening? A different data has come. If I refresh again, if you see, again a different person. So every time I am making a request, the data is being fetched from the server and shown on my browser. Now there is a data exchange is happening, right? You are requesting something, so the data is going, hey, this person is requesting, so the data has gone and it is going to hit the server, and from the server some data will appear on your, so it is transferring the data. So this data exchange, what is happening? This exchange is happening through something called JSON. There are multiple different other formats like XML, then you have HTML, right? So there are multiple different formats, but JSON is one of the widely used data exchange format to exchange data from a client machine to a server, to the client machine, I mean your laptop, right? Between two servers, between two machines, it could be anything. So it is a widely used data exchange format. Okay, so JSON you have understood. Now I would like to, Rakesh, I really want to see that. Okay, what is that JSON would look like? You said JSON, I understood it. It is something responsible to exchange the data, or in a format it exchanges the data. So I want to see that exact JSON format. So for that, this specific website, not every website will work the same way. This specific website, if you simply type API, hit on enter, it will tell you, hey, how this data was appearing. So how the data is appearing? So if you see, the data is actually is in this format. And when you go, if you remove this API, right, if I'm going to remove this API and simply go to the website, the data is appearing in a user friendly way. I mean, there are graphics, there are graphical elements, and then when you're clicking, the specific data is appearing. But in the backend, it's all data. In the backend, it's all text. It's in the backend, it's all data. Now how that data appears is something like that. When I type for this specific website, as I said, this won't work. You can't type API on any website and try to see. The API links would be very different for different websites. For this one, it is simple. So if I'm typing API, you can see the backend data is something like this. Now this data is entirely in string format. If I ask you, are you able to read something, then you will literally have to go near your screen and try to fetch the data, right? It's quite not very easy to understand. Now how do I make it easy to understand? So let me show you. So this is the entire data. So let me copy this data. Okay, so this is the JSON data. So what is this? This is the JSON data. You asked me how that looks. So this is how it looks. In the backend, it's all about data. So this is how the information looks like, the data looks like. Now just to make it more human readable, you can go to Google and simply type JSON viewer. So there are multiple different websites which will help you. So I'll go to JSON viewer, StackView, JSON. Okay, let me open any one. Okay, yeah. So here I have opened one website. So I'm going to copy the data which I have got it from the random user. And if I'm going to click on format, what is happening now? It is readable, right? So this is the JSON string in a proper way. I can read it. But again, doesn't matter for the computer how you keep it, right? The formatting is there. It has to be in the right format. So the formatting is there. But this makes it more easy for you to read. That's all. This is for the human being to read. Now if you see, I can quite easily read the data that has come, which is a gender, whose gender is male, whose title is Mr. Neville Moses, right? So I can read entire data. Likewise, I have location, multiple informations, city, right? You can see there are a lot of informations on the site, right? There are a lot of information. If you see time zone, email address, right, registered date, his age, his phone number, his cell number. So likewise, there are a lot of data inside this specific website. So this JSON string, the actual data has got a lot of data inside. Now if I ask you, hey, how do you really get this thing done on UiPath Studio, right? So let me show you how this can be done. So let's go to the UiPath Studio. So this much we have understood what is a JSON, how that data appears in real-time scenario, right? We have seen it, right? So in the backend is all data. Now in the front end there is a user interface where it appears very nice, but again in the backend it's all data. So we saw that JSON format. Now the next thing that comes to my mind, how can I do it on UiPath Studio? How can I get the data on the UiPath Studio? Let me show you. This can be easily done. For that, the very first thing, important thing is go to manage packages, go to click on official or all packages. So click on official and type UiPath.web. Okay, so this is the package which is required for you to install. That's where you'll be able to do the rest of the things. So this is the package, UiPath.web API.activities. Okay, so now what you do, this one here, you would have a button called install. If you have not installed it already, install it and hit on save. I have done it already, so you please install and save it. Okay, that's all. Now the very first activity we shall use is the HTTP request. Okay, this is the part of your UiPath.web API activity. So let me drag and drop this. The moment you drag and drop, look at it. The moment you drag and drop, the window would open. So on this window, what I will do, I will go to the random user. I'm going to close this. Okay, this is not required, so I'm closing that. So random user, that entire API URL I'm going to copy. Okay, because from that I want to see the data within UiPath Studio. And why I want to see the data, I will show you everything. Okay, for example, I am going to copy paste this entire URL, and anywhere in the blank space simply click on, just hit on this one. So the moment you do is, here you don't have to really do anything for this website, simply do this and now hit on preview. Okay, so now the moment you hit on preview, you can see the entire data has appeared. The same thing what we have seen, the same similar data, but again every time you are making a request, the data will change. I mean the name and everything will be keep on changing. More you refresh, more number of data will be keep on changing. So here this HTTP request wizard, this is the activity which has requested the JSON data from that website using that link. So it is requesting that give me the data. So now within this activity, the data has been fetched from the server and now it is appearing inside this wizard, or inside this activity it is appearing. Now let's do one thing. Let's copy this entire data and probably paste it inside a notepad. Okay, so let me delete this and paste it inside a notepad. So now you can see entire data I have pasted. So now what is the UiPath Json Deserialize? What is that Json Deserialize actually? I am going to show you. So now this is the data, so I'm going to hit on OK, and this is the activity. Let's go to the property of this activity. Okay, let's just go to the property of the activity, and here you have something called output. Now here there is something called response content. So in the response content, what you do, create a variable. Okay, so what is this variable? You are fetching the data, right? So I am going to say, so I am going to name it as JSON string, because we are fetching this string data, right? It's a string format, entirely a string. So I'm simply saying JSON string. It's a string, but again JSON data. Okay, hit on enter. Now if you go to the variable, look at the data type of the variable that you have just created and named it as JSON string. You can give any name. So the data type is simple string. That means the moment you are making a HTTP request, that means you are requesting some data from a server. That time what is happening, the data is coming in the string format. The output data is coming only in string format. Getting it? But again, the string is again having a JSON style. When I say JSON, the JSON will have a curly brace, all this, it has a property, it has a value, it has a property, it has a value, property inside different properties, and then there is a value, name, title, first and last, right? So property, so this is known as JSON property, this is known as JSON value, JSON property, JSON value, JSON property, the values, entire thing. Now, so this is how it is arranged. Let's go back, let's go one step at a time. So this is a string data which is coming. We understood this much. Okay, very good. Now after that, there is an activity I'm going to use called Json Deserialize in UiPath. Okay, this is known as Deserialize JSON or Json Deserialize. So this is the activity which is responsible for what? Why am I really using this activity? I am going to help you. Okay, why you have to use this. So now what is the output of this activity? The first activity, JSON string, right? We have given the name of that variable as JSON. So you can give any name. So JSON string. Now what this activity will do, this entire data which is there in a string, right? It's a text. This entire text data will be converted to a JSON object. So what is happening? What is the meaning of JSON Deserialize? Tell me. JSON Deserialize. What is the meaning of this? The meaning of deserialize means the string output that you have received is going to convert that, right? It's going to convert that string to JSON object. Now what is this JSON object? A lot of new things are coming, right? So okay, keep it very simple. What is happening? The data which has fetched from the server was coming in the string format all the time. Now this string data has to be converted into JSON object, like any data type, like data table is a data type, right? Similar way you have string, you have integer, boolean. Similar way JSON object is also a data type. So what is this data type? I'm going to explain. Okay, now just understand, it's going to convert the string into JSON object. Now let's understand the JSON object. So the work of this activity is to convert the string into the JSON string, not any string, the JSON string that has come through the HTTP request. It is going to convert that JSON string into JSON object. Okay, so now how this is going to happen, let me going to show you. Okay, for example, if I simply go and write an activity called message box. Okay, I'm simply putting a message box. Okay, now here for the deserialized JSON, there should be some output of each of this activity, right? So the output of is a JSON object type. So here let me create a variable. I'll give it the same name. Okay, JSON object. What I'm giving, JSON object, the variable name. Actually it has to be a different name, but just for understanding purpose I'm giving JSON object. So now let's see what is the data type of this JSON object variable which I have created just now. Here the data type, if you highlight, it is a JSON object. It's a J object or a JSON object. So the data type has changed. So the output of deserialize is going to convert the string. The string will be converted to J object or JSON object. Now what is this JSON object, Rakesh? You are using this word so many times. J object, JSON object. Okay, let me show you. Don't worry. So what is the JSON object? For example, here I am going to simply take the variable called JSON object. If I ask you, hey, you have got this entire data, right? You have got this entire data. This is the entire data being fetched from the server. If I ask you, can you pull the data, can you pull the first name? What is his first name? Or if I ask you, can you pull the phone number of that person? Or if I ask you, can you pull his email address? I'm asking you, can you pull, if it is a string, what you do? If it is a string kind of a data, you do Control F, right? If you do a Control F and simply type email and try to see where that email is, right? So email, why it is not coming? How it is written? Okay, it is written something like this. Copy. So you generally do Control F, paste, and try to find that. I don't know why it is not finding. Okay, let me not get into that, but again, simply by typing, Control F, you find a string data, right? You find a string data. Now in UiPath you will not do a Control F, right? There has to be a different way. Now here, if I go to the UiPath Studio, what I have done, this entire string I have first converted into a JSON object. It's a different data type. Now using this JSON object, I'll be able to get on to any data I like. For example, if you ask me, hey Rakesh, can you show me the first name of the person? Can you show me the first name? Okay, for that, what I will write, I will simply say JSON object, and then I will see how this data is organized. So this is organized here, the first data. So inside this data there is a square bracket starting, and the square bracket is going to end here. That means the entire data is there under results. So what I'm going to do, I'll copy this and let me open that in a slightly bigger window. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to, within the bracket, I'm going to simply write results. So that means if I simply say JSON object results, it's going to pull the entire data. Let me show you one at a time. Okay, so if I'm simply writing results, and if I run this or if I debug this, what would happen? Because I said results, it's going to show me the entire data within the square bracket until the end of it. Okay, entire data will come. So if you see, let it run. Okay, you can see the entire data starting from the square bracket, ending with the square bracket, and the entire data has been fetched. Now if I ask you, can you please pull the first name? Now again you have to see the first name, right? You have to study the JSON format. It's a different array of data is there, right? So now the first name is there under name. If you see, this is starting here and ending it here. That means it is within another block. The first name is there within another block. That is known as name. So what I will do, I'll take this, right? Now I did pull till results. I'll go to the properties of this activity, and here after results I will again use a square bracket, but this time there is a clause. What is the clause? If you see, this entire data has started from a square bracket and it has ended with a square bracket. After square bracket, it has started with this one curly brace, and this curly brace has ended over here. If you see, this has ended over here just before the, that means this is an array of data, and that entire array has got only one element. If it has to have another element, then there has to be a comma, and then it has to again start with comma and end with curly braces, and then within this again you likewise you had this set of data, right? Similar set of data could again repeat, or a different set of data could repeat again within the curly brace. Then I will say this result has got two different data, two set of data. One is this set of data, the another set is this, right, within the square bracket. Getting it? So this is how you will say there are two set of data. Now in our case this square bracket is there, but again this entire square bracket has got only the data till here, right? Because this one I have added, I'm going to remove it. Okay, so this has got only got one set of data. To access this one set of data, all I have to do, I have to simply write 0. If there are two set of data, if I say 0 1, like those are the index number. If I say 1, it is going to fetch the second set of data. If I say 2, if there is another third set, it is going to pull that third set of data. Getting it? So here I am saying 0. Now let's see what is the result of this. Okay, the moment I say 0, what is the result of this? For example, if I going to, let me quickly run it. Okay, let's see the output, and let's keep this at the back end. Because it's 0, so the output will start from here, should start from the curly brace. Okay, so if you see, last time the output, when I said results, it was starting from this one. Now if, because I am saying 0, because the 0th element starting from this curly brace, you can see it has started from the curly brace, it is going to end over here. You will not be able to see with the small message box, but again it is actually ending till nat no. You can see nat no until here. Okay, so this is the output. So this much is understood. Now let's go little further. What is that? If I ask you, because you need the first name, right? You need the first name. I mean this is the property, and this is the value. So you need the value of the first. So how do I get it? For that I have to simply say name. Okay, name, and then I have to simply say first, and all this has to be within the double quote. Let me show you. So accessing JSON format, you understood JSON, but accessing the format is also important. Okay, so you need to see if there is a square bracket, then there should be multiple block of elements. If there's one block, that means 0. If there are two blocks, then the second block would be 1. Like that you need to fetch the data. So it will be very different for different JSON format. So here in this, for this example, I have to simply say name, and I have to simply say first. Okay, and click on OK. So now the entire data has come. Now if I am going to hit on run, what would happen? The output should show, because the data is changing. Okay, here you will not get the same value, you will get a different value, because every time you are making a request to this website, every time the data is changing. So what is the first name came? It came in some Arabic. Okay, let me try, let me run it again. Okay, you can see the entire data has come right now in the, so this much you have understood what is the meaning of. So let's recap. The HTTP request is making a request to the server to fetch the data, and the data is coming in a string format, and we are storing this string data in a variable, okay, which data is string. Now the use of the deserialization or the UiPath Json Deserialize activity, the use of this activity is to convert the JSON string format to JSON object, right? So once it is converted to JSON object, we are storing that into a variable whose data type is JSON object. Now this using that variable name, will be able to pull any data that is there inside that JSON. So I have given one simple example, how do you pull the entire data, and shown you when you write results what happens, when you write 0 what happens, because it's an array, right? When you write name and then type first, what happens. So this is the end, this is how you have finally written your expression to see the first name. So look at the expression once again and make a note of the expression. Okay, so this is how we have written, and we have fetched the first name. Now you will have a question, Rakesh, how can I write the entire data? Let's say I want multiple data. Let's say I want first name, last name, and then I need his phone number, then I need his age, I need his cell number, right? I need his any other thing that I need, right? So how do I pull that? His address. So how can I pull that? And probably I would like to store that into a data table or write it to an Excel file. How to do that, we are going to see in the next video. So in this video you must have understood what is UiPath Json Deserialize. We are going to meet in our next content. Till then, take care. Bye bye.